So I've already told you that the amazing Liz Williams is going to be our new chair, and I'm now going to hand it over to her to tell you what she's going to do next. Thank you very much.
My goodness, what a build-up. I'm only going to be a disappointment to you all, but I will try really hard not to be. Welcome, everyone, to BT Centre. It's a massive privilege for us to host this conference, and we're delighted to do it every year. For me, it's a particular privilege because it kind of brings the two things that I love together, the Tinder Foundation and BT. It's a massive honour for me to be chair-elect of the Tinder Foundation, Good Things Foundation. And Gym night is undoubtedly a hard act to follow, but I put my posh shoes on this morning and I'm ready for it. As Helen mentioned, my day job is at BT. I'm BT's Director of Tech Literacy and Education Programmes, and I've been championing inclusion in its broadest sense for well over a decade. And I'm fortunate to have, and I make no bones about it, one of the best jobs in BT. I'm able to make a difference in an area that I'm personally passionate about, the role that digital skills have to transform lives. As Helen said, I've been part of the Tinder board for 5 years since its inception, and actually it's been a real career highlight to be part of that journey as the organisation has evolved. We've had some challenges, but the organisation is so strong now. One of the many things, and there are many things that I love about this organisation, is just how full of purpose it is. It's a genuine force for good, working at national level, championing the positive role of digital and powering up brilliant grassroots organisations that are working at depth with people. And there's so many of you in the room today, and a massive thank you to you. You make a massive difference to the lives of individuals. The other thing I like about it is the fact it's an organisation not frightened to ask questions. It doesn't shy away from things that others might do. Helen's recent example of questioning the role of libraries, for example, is a good example of that. It's not that we don't love libraries. We absolutely do love libraries. The heart of the challenge is the desire to see communities served by excellent services that really meet their changing needs. And digital is increasingly the way we do things. We need to ensure the advantages that digital brings reach everybody. And last year, as Helen mentioned, I was invited by DCMS to chair a review of publicly funded digital skills qualifications. As independent chair, I was asked to look at one important aspect of that digital puzzle. How can we ensure that publicly funded digital skills qualifications, the provision for adults, is relevant and fit for purpose? And that's quite a big question, actually, particularly when you're talking about taxpayers' money. The review raised the fundamental need to rewrite how we think about digital skills and the status they receive in society. It is genuinely a revolution that is much needed. The UK has rightly made it a national priority to ensure that everybody, all adults, are able to achieve a basic level of literacy and numeracy. And yet, digital skills are equally important. And so I believe that a similar level of national importance should be placed on ensuring what I would call tech literacy or digital literacy. But an important starting point on that is being clear, what do we mean by digital skills? It's increasingly a kind of catch-all term, but it actually really warrants dissection. And the review I chaired concluded there were three high-level categories. Firstly, basic. The skills you need to live in a digital world. That's the things that we all know and love. General, the skills that you need to live and work in a digital world. Let's be clear, most jobs are going to have a much greater degree of tech involved with them. And advanced, the skills that you might need to be a tech professional doing jobs that we perhaps haven't even thought of yet, whether that be cyber, cloud, or some other amazing thing that's on the horizon. And I'm really delighted that that differentiation has been adopted by the Digital Economy Unit and will increasingly be used. For us here today, we all recognise that people need basic digital skills to be able to participate and be confident online, doing the things that we all love, whether it's interactions with friends or our banking or booking our holidays or all the other things that we now take for granted. but there remains a huge task to make that a reality for everyone. And as reported by Go On UK, it's over 12 million people, I think it's 12.6 million, that still don't have the basic digital skills that they need to thrive. And whilst it's good to note the government's move to create a digital skills entitlement, and for that to be enshrined in legislation, as always, the devil will be in the detail in terms of how that comes to fruition. I often think about just how far that journey to digital is for some people. My grandmother grew up in a home without running water. There was a tap at the end of the corridor. And from that reality of her childhood, she's now living in a world where more information than she could have ever imagined is at her fingertips, including the ability to speak to family across the globe, which just blows her mind every time it happens, particularly as there's no bill. She really can't work that bit out. But, you know, I think about that, and I start by saying that's a massive jump. It's a massive jump for her. But actually, if I could transition back to her world where she grew up, I think that would be as massive a jump for me. And therefore, we should never underestimate just how difficult that journey is. And those of you in the room that make the journey for people like her, frankly, that's a skill and a vocation that I'd just like to thank every single one of you for the efforts that you make in that area, because it is genuinely life-changing for the individuals for whom you make that moment happen where they suddenly realise what that digital connection can do for them. It is genuinely life-changing. But the digital skill gap is more than simply, and I say simply with like a smile in my voice, digital participation. Our world is a digital one, increasingly powered by technology. It's at the heart of everything we do. Just think about how you got here today and the role that technology will have played in that, from every interaction, every purchase, even down to how the traffic lights ran if you were on a bus earlier. Every single bit of that is powered by tech. And behind that tech are jobs with people that need to have tech skills to enable them to do them. From delivery drivers who now use GPS mapping through to roofers. I had a roofer come around the other day, he had a drone. He did the inspection using a drone, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, you know, everything, tech is at the heart of what we do. And we need to ensure that we're building a nation of confident digital creators with the necessary skills. And I believe digital skills have the opportunity to be one of the biggest drivers, if not the biggest driver of social mobility for this country. All too often, I hear people talk about digital natives, and I think it's a complete, well, I can't quite get my head around that concept, because no skills just get acquired by osmosis. We don't turn around to our kids and say, you've lived in a life where there's been cars on the roads, therefore we don't need to teach you how to cross the road safely. It's just not the way life is. Young people grow up surrounded by technology. I don't know how many of you have seen Ofcom's latest research. Can you believe that half of toddlers, 3 to 4 year olds, now enjoy their lives using a tablet? Get their entertainment through a tablet. 3 to 4 year olds, they're just swiping. Anyway, but what happens is far too many of those young people really understand how that technology works or the role that it will play in their lives going forward. That is the tech literacy paradox. We have a nation of confident consumers, but very few active creators. And we need to ensure that our young people are tech savvy in the broadest sense. And that's very much my day job. My day job at BT is how we can help overcome that tech literacy paradox that is frankly holding back our young people. We want to show young people why being confident and competent with tech matters to them, to their life chances, and make sure that they've got the core digital skills they need to thrive in the future. We've committed to reach 5 million young people by 2020 through our tech literacy programme. And we started with the next generation because we believe tech literacy should be the cornerstone of modern education, as important as reading and writing. And central to our work has been primary schools. And through the Barefoot Computing programme, we've reached over 800,000 young people. I'm very proud of that, but school is not the whole answer. Even for the young, we need to inspire young people about the role that tech can take them, the role it plays in their lives, how it underpins the things they love and can really power their future. And BT Sport actually is a way that we at BT something we can use to really show young people, show them how technology brings the thing they love to their screens on a regular basis. If you start thinking about tech and sport, my head starts to explode as I realise that the reason the cyclists are so successful is all about tech. You know, every single one of those successes. But this whole area does need a collective UK response to shift the dial on the challenge. Hence, next week, our CEO at BT, Gavin Patterson, will be running a tech literacy summit at the BT Tower, and we have a really interesting wide variety of stakeholders coming together to look at how we can start to make tech literacy mainstream. I mentioned earlier that my passion is around social mobility, particularly around young people who don't perhaps have the social capital in their family to really help them get the skills they need and the inspiration they need to get into a role. And I very much see tech literacy as a way to drive that social mobility and provide those life chances, particularly if they're in households that are maybe second or third, or where I live in Portsmouth, maybe fifth generation unemployed. One of the ways that we at BT help young people get work ready is through traineeships. It's a 7-week programme for 16 to 24-year-old NEETs. They come to us and we help equip them with the skills and confidence. And often that's about one of my team just literally sitting down and giving them some one-on-one coaching. And that can make such a massive difference. But we also make sure digital's a massive part of that. We've had over 1,800 young people join us on a traineeship to date. Many of them are now in jobs, some of them with us, but actually a lot of them with other companies, because that's one of the things that's really important to us. We don't just kind of want them to come to us. And every time I hear one of those stories, they are incredibly inspiring, and frankly, they are a source of real personal pride when I hear them. I've seen firsthand the real difference that digital skills can make. And I'm looking forward to hearing the views of others when we have the conversations later about how the role that digital can play in tackling poverty in particular. I mentioned, though, that BT is just one organisation, and I firmly believe in the power of collaboration. It's one of those things that's really easy to talk about and actually very, very difficult to achieve, because what happens is often organisations become quite stovepiped around their own objectives. But there are a massive number of organisations who are devoting energy and imagination to achieving these objectives around digital participation. And it's one of the many things that I love about the Good Things Foundation. I'm going to learn to use that name consistently, properly now. And it's one of the reasons why I was really delighted to accept the role as chair. I mentioned earlier it's an organisation with clear purpose. I'd also say it's gutsy. It's got vision, it's got drive, and it's got a bucket load of can-do attitude. It's powered by a staff team that, frankly, is second to none. Their motivation on a personal level and collectively is significant. And I don't think I was thinking about this earlier, I really don't think I've ever heard them say no to anything. I think I hear them say why, I hear them say how, and I think them saying what if, but I never hear them say no. And that's very, very unusual in any organisation. I'm not convinced that there will ever be a time when we say that the job is done with digital, but we're certainly a long way from that position today. And that's the thing about digital. It really doesn't matter what age you are, what social demographic you come from, whether you're financially rich or socially poor, you live in a mansion or if you live in a estate, digital can genuinely be a game changer. It can help tackle isolation, open doors to jobs, as I've mentioned, help us improve our health and well-being. The whole thing, the list just goes on and on and on. And actually, where we are today, given the UK's new role on the world stage, and I promised I wasn't going to mention Brexit, Donald Trump, anything like that, so I'm not going to, but let's just remember that challenge is around the corner. I'm really clear that digital is the difference. And I'm looking forward to the next phase in the life of the Good Things Foundation and the brilliant things that we as the Good Things Foundation and the online network, I have written down UK online centres and I knew I was going to get that wrong. I know that together, that collectively, as a collaboration, we're going to do good things. But actually, I'd probably say we're not going to do good things, are we? We're just going to do great things because it's going to be a great team. Thanks, everyone.